Okay, recording started. Okay, good day everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Good day. So today we're looking at how to write Excel formulas and various syntaxes in Excel. So how do you write the formula? So we're doing this topic because we at UrBizEdge we do trainings, and I noticed that a lot of people were maybe didn't really know how to, or they're writing formulas the wrong way. So this session will just kind of explain like a simple Excel formula. How do you write a formula? And then we'll look at how to write a formula, just everything about Excel formula. So my name is Ifeanyi Iheagwara or Benedict, or you can call me Benny. So the Microsoft Excel and data analysis learning community is being brought to you by UrBizEdge, and UrBizEdge is a registered Microsoft consulting, financial modeling, business intelligence, data analyst, and enterprise solution firm here in Nigeria as well as Dubai. They also the developers of the Nigeria Financial Markets Analysis tool, which is in your Microsoft Office store, which you should check out. So they offer physical classes as well as online classes, which I'll drop the link again in the comment in the chat so you can access it and check it out. Okay, so a little bit about me. So my name is Benny Ifeanyi. I'm also a data analyst and a business intelligence analyst. I'm also a technical writer, and I also contribute to some open source projects as well. So I'm just going to go straight to the topic for today, which is Excel formulas. Okay, so I'm opening. Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. Okay, so today we're looking at Excel formulas. So first of all, before we move to formulas, we're going to look at the different data types in Excel. So Excel has 4 data types. We have numbers, we have text, we also have Boolean, and we have formulas. So we're going to be looking at formulas. That's what we're looking at today. So these are the 4 different data types in Excel. So another thing again, we also know that there's also a difference between formulas and functions. So functions and formulas are also very similar, but when you look at the documentation, there's also a difference between formulas and functions. All right. So what's a formula, what's a function? So there is that formulas are the building blocks of Excel. They help you to deal with your data regardless of the data types you are working with. Even though you're working with numerical data, you're working with categorical data, you're working with strings or integers. Formulas allows you to work with these data, either cleaning them or doing simple arithmetics with these numbers or this text. Okay, so the basic way, the thing about formulas is, number one about formulas, that every formula in Excel starts with the equals to sign. So if you notice here, you can see here, everything, you can clearly see here, you see that it shows that I can click here and all of that. But the minute I come here and I put an equals to, everything here kind of fades away. So, and if, for example, I'm typing sum here, so sum is like the simplest or one of the most popular formulas generally. So I type sum, nothing happens. And I do this plus this, nothing happens because technically this is a formula. I already wrote down something. So the first thing about formulas are every formula in Excel starts with the equals to. The moment you put equals to, you're about to write a formula, or Excel I'm fine. I'm in a meeting. Sorry about that. Someone called. Okay, so the simplest of formula starts with does you as simply one, and you know from primary school, secondary school, you just do a simple 1 plus 1. And you press equals to, Excel gives you the answer. So 1 plus 1, Excel gives you 2. This is the basics of formulas. Beside you, the same thing also happens with this, like sum. You could do a sum, you could do a like subtraction. You can also do a simple division and as well as a multiplication. Plus, you also have everything. Okay. Yes, super you multiplying. And sum is just the plus. This is the plus. This is the minus. The division is this sign. That's division. And you have your multiplication being asterisk. Okay. So you start with like we're going to do just 1 plus this, 1 plus this. So you just do 1 minus this. It's a formula. So it means you put like I said, it means you put equals to Excel goes to the calculation mode. And Excel is not going to give you, it's not going to write it 1 minus this. It's going to actually give you, it's going to solve this, it's going to solve the and give you the answer to this the problem. So I do 1 divided by 1, and to do a multiplication, I just do 1 multiplied by the second number. This is it. So beside this, the basics of every formula is just a simple minus, and you give it the two variables, or give it the variables you want. It could be 2 variables, it could be more than 2 variables you want. But as you're going further, most of the time you're not going to be writing down the numbers. Your numbers could be somewhere in a different part of the worksheet, or even in a totally different workbook. So for example, here we have these numbers here, and for example, let's say we have 5, here we have 6, here we have 7, and here we have 9. So we want to add this, or want to subtract this, or want to divide this, and want to multiply this. So the thing about Excel is that everything in Excel is Excel is spreadsheets, and spreadsheets basically use columns and rows. That's how they organize their data, by columns and by rows. You have your columns A, B, C, D to X, F, D. And you also have your rows, which is 1 to 1,048,562, 572, 76. Sorry. Yeah. So Excel does this, and every cell, what we mean a cell, we mean this box. Every box, whenever a column and a row meets, they form a box. And in this box, so Excel works in these various cells. So every cell has a name, and its names are just what column is it on, followed by what row is it on. So for example, here it's on column A, so it's A, and here it's on row 1, so it's A1. Okay. So we want to add this up. So we can call this of us physically writing 2 plus 5. We can just call out the cell, and it's going to give us. For example, if I call out this cell is on C4. So like here I say equals to C4, and I press enter. It gives me whatever is on C4. So C4 is showing 2. If C4 is showing 4, here will show 4, because it's whatever on C4 that the cell is referencing or is calling. So I do whatever is on C4 plus. It's another way of you writing it. Instead of you actually calling it, you can also just click on it, and it's going to automatically write the name of the cell. So I'm doing C4 plus D4. So this is D4, this is C4. And that is 4 plus 5. That should give me 9. And gives me 9. The same thing again with the subtraction. So I just do this minus whatever is here minus whatever is here. And it gives me minus 6. Again, with division, whatever is here divided by whatever is here. And it gives me the answer. And again, whatever is here multiplied by whatever is here, and gives me the answer, which is 9. So this also again does basic simple formula, but now you're no longer doing the formula by you manually typing it. You're writing the formulas by you calling the cells. You're using the cell reference in this case now to write your formulas. So let's take it a little bit further. Okay. So let's take it a little bit further. So we have seen how you can write with basic formulas, and now you can write how you can use the cell references whenever you're writing your formulas or to work with your data. Again, you can also do the same thing on with numerical data. So everything I've done here is we're using numerical data, but let's look at categorical data or strings or text. So for example, you have maybe I, or even you have goods, and here you have morning. So you're trying to add them up together. So yeah, there are formulas you can use to do this, like the concatenate and all. But concatenate is more of a function. We're trying to say like the basic way of you doing it, and that's you using the and this sign to work with it. So what we're just going to do is just equals to, you want this. We can also call this again, which is B9, and this, and it's going to give us good morning. But we don't want it to be joined together. We need a space in between. So we need to modify our formula to add a space. So when you're writing formulas and you're trying to create space, you can create a space by keeping a apostrophe. So apostrophe space, apostrophe, and. So when you're dealing with words, so you're dealing with numbers, you're trying to write something that's not a formula. If, for example, you put in K, Excel start giving you formulas that start with K. I put S, Excel gives me formula that starts with S. I put L, Excel gives me formula that starts with L. So if you're trying to write something that is not a number, you don't want Excel to give you options, you're actually trying to write a text or write a string, you always have to put it in this quotation mark, which is what you have here. And that means I press enter, you see it shows me good morning with a space in between. The space is this. This is the space that was kept in between. Okay. So now let's move from formulas to our functions. Okay. So when we come to functions, the difference between a formula and a function is that a formula is, well, a function is also a formula as well, but a function is a formula, but this time is inbuilt. So the idea of your inbuilt formulas is to help you with to make you more productive and also help you with efficiency as well. So Excel has a couple of inbuilt formulas which are already inbuilt in it. So you don't really need to manually write everything one by one. And that's what I say. So we're going to take the basic inbuilt formula, which is your sum formula, as an example. So you start with 1, and for example, you have 1. Okay, you have this, and now you're trying to add up everything here. If you're trying to use this basic way of you writing the formula, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to do equals to this plus this plus this plus this plus this plus this, then plus this plus, and you press enter and it gives you the number. But the problem is that this was very slow, and this is just because we have just 10 numbers. Imagine we have hundreds or every 1,000 numbers. This is going to take a lot of time. So this is where functions come in place. So you can use a function to help your productivity. Again, the Excel already coded it out. They've already coded it out. All you have to do is apply the function, and it's just going to work. So to use the function is as simple again as equals to. Like again, a function is also a formula. So you put equals to and you type in the function. So we're trying to write sum. Sum starts with S. Whenever you put anything, any alphabet after putting equals to A, you put B, it gives you a list of available formulas on it. So S, Y, U, there's no J, then there's K, there's L, G. That means there's no formula that has with J. So I put S. It gives you this option of everything, of all these formulas that start with S. So what you can do is, I know some people usually do this, they'll type everything and then they'll click on it. The problem with this is that if you are writing a very long formula, like a nested formula, a formula instead of a formula, instead of a formula, and you click on it, you could accidentally like break everything or even make a mistake. So a more efficient or a cleaner way of you writing your formula is doing equals to, you press sum and you press the tab. You press the tab. When you press the tab, Excel will autocomplete whatever is there. So for example, we're doing a VLOOKUP. So they show me VLOOKUP, I can press tab and say autocomplete VLOOKUP. If I'm trying to do maybe a concatenation, and so I'm here, it's showing me concat, but we're not this a concatenation. So I can just use the arrow keys on my keyboard and go down to it. So see, go up, down, up, down. I can go down to it. When I'm already on it, I just press the tab button on my keypad and it auto completes the formula for me. Okay, so let's go back to the sum. So I do equals to sum, tab, and I select the numbers. So what the sum formula does is every formula in Excel gives you this, like this, I call this like suggestions basically. So let me zoom in. Okay, so these are the suggestions. So the sum formula requires, every formula requires a set of parameters or a set of variables. So some formula expects number 1, number 2, and you see this 3 dot or 3 ellipses, it means it also needs the order. So number 1, what's number 1? What is number 2 formula? What's the number 2? What's the number 3? What's number 4? What's number 5? So you're supposed to do like 1, and after the 1, whenever you're on something in a formula, you should notice that it becomes a bit bolder. Here looks a little bit more bolder compared to number 2. And it means you press the comma. So after the number 1, you see there's a comma. It moves into number 2, and you click on number 2. You press the comma, it moves to number 3, and it goes there. Then you can go to number 4 and 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And when you are done with the formula, it's whenever you open a bracket in Excel, you have to make sure you also close that bracket. So I close that bracket and I press enter and it gives me the number. The problem with this, you use the function, all right. Yes, you use the function, but the problem is that this is also not very efficient as well. This also, yes, use the function, but you were also not very efficient as well. So like I mentioned, Excel uses everything A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. Whenever you select something, let's say for example, we have a list of numbers here, and you want to select these all numbers. So this number started from, if you look here, is D6. So here's D6. This very last one is D11. So if you're trying to call an entire line of number, you don't need to click on it one by one. What you say you do, you use the referencing, but you will not make place of it. Like, so when you come here and you do a D6, it shows you what's on D6. Let's say this is here showing 90. You say yes, showing 90. And let me assume here is showing me 89 instead. So it's showing me this. If I come here and do a D11, it shows me this. But if I come here and I do a D6 and I put a column and I put D11, it's going to show, you see, it selected the entire line. So I'm saying I want to get every number from the beginning of D6 to the ending, which is the D11. So everything that's in between D6 to D11 should give me an answer. And this is what it gave me. It gave me everything, D6 to D11. So you have called this entire line of number instead of you manually picking them one by one. So let's apply the same thing here now. So here we'll do the equals to again, sum, and we'll press the tab. And instead of, here is C15. And this place here is your C24. Okay, so I come here and I do a equals to sum. I press tab and I click on C15. I press the column and I say I want C24. So he selected everything from C15 to C24 and I close the bracket again and I press enter. So you see, it gives me everything from C16 to C form. And that way you can also do it again. Like I mentioned, you don't really need to always know the reference or what's not the cell. You could just click on it. So I can just click on the very first one and just drag it. And I close my bracket and I press enter. So this the basics of how like functions work. So now let's look at a lot more complicated functions. So in Excel, there are multiple kind of functions in Excel. You can come here to formulas, like I mentioned, a function is a formula, and I click on more functions, and you see that list of functions. So you have arithmetic functions actually in Excel. You have engineering functions. You have cubes. You have informations. You have compatibility. You have webs, and oh, sorry, give me a minute. Sorry about that. And again, please, if there are any questions, just draw my attention. I'll be taking a look at the chat room. So, okay. But everybody can still hear me at the moment. Hello. Yes. Okay. Thank you. So we looked at functions and yes, okay. So we looked at functions and how to we looked at functions and like how they work. So I've used the simplest of the functions, which is the sum functions. So Excel has a lot of functions in Excel. There are a lot of functions. You have more, yeah, which gives you a list of other functions because it's are specific to some specific niche. So like the engineering, the wow functions that they use for the engineering field. You also go to max arithmetics. You also have a list of functions like a great function, you have cosine, you have sine, and all of that. You go to lookup, so you have your VLOOKUP, you have your choose formula, you have the offset formulas, you have your X lookup as well. We come here to date and time, and you have formulas like what is the date, what is the month today, now, and the rest. You go to your test functions, and you have lower, mid, and all of that. You go to logic, and you have the same thing. Same with finance. You also have formulas for finance to calculate discount and all of that. And you have the most recently used, which is any formula I use recently gets imputed here. Okay, so we have used this now. So let's take a lot more complicated function. Okay, so let's move from the sum formula into a formula like we'll look at VLOOKUP, but let's look at a formula like even the if formula. So the if formula. Okay, so the if formula is a different formula, and this formula deals with condition. So it's more of a conditional formula. So I would say the easiest way to for a if formula or like to have an idea of the formula is think of it like a condition. So if, for example, if you come before 8 o'clock, if you come before 8 o'clock, so you come before 8 a.m., I would say you are early. And if you come after 8 a.m., so if you come after this 8 a.m., I would say that you are late to this class. Okay, so this is the basic of the formula. So the formula is just a condition. It allows you to either to categorize your numbers for the text into based on a condition or based on a logic, like it's called. Okay, so let's look at the formula. So you type if, and it's already showing if here. it means you put I, you already see a list of formulas. If formula is the very first one. So I can just press a simple tab, or I can complete it. So I also press tab. Okay. So again, the formula shows you all of this, the logical test, which is what you're going to text it based on. So the good thing about Excel is that first of all, it gives you a list of what is expected or what the formula expects. Is my stuff working? So I think yes, okay. Hello. Okay, so now let me explain it. Okay, so that's like the idea of the formula. So let's take a different formula and see how it works. Okay. So we'll now take a look at your VLOOKUP again. Okay, so for VLOOKUP, you put equals to VLOOKUP. It asks you for the lookup value, the table array, the column index number, and the range lookup. As you can see, the range lookup is in a bracket, the square bracket as well. Okay, so let's go back to this place again. Sorry, hello. Yes, I can take it again. You finish the if formula. But okay, let me run it again. Okay, let's look at another scenario. So we're trying to check out maybe age. Yeah. If you are greater than 18, I will say that you can enter. But if you are less than, it should show you that you can't enter. Okay. So I'm going to come here and I put this person is 23, this person is 17. The other one is showing. So I put that as the numbers. Okay, 17, 23. Okay. So we have used the fx. Let's do it without the fx now. So I type equals to, I put the if and I press the tab. It shows me the logical test. The logical test, I'm going to check if the age is greater than 18. So I put this, if whatever is showing here is greater than 18, I want it to show me. So I'm moving from logical test to the value if true. My value if true should give me what I'm going to test it based on. So I put a comma. The value if true should be, if you are more than 18, you can enter. So if I type enter, it gives me again a list of formulas. In the fx, it's not going to show that because fx is going to, when it means you put equals to, it means you type the enter, it's going to allow you, it's going to put it in quotation for you. But we're trying to work with the fx now. So again, if first tab, if whatever I say is greater than 18, then I put comma. So it moves from, without the comma, here was the darker part, the logical test. It means I put comma, it moves to the value if true as the darker part. And the value if true is, if you are above 18, you're allowed to enter. Then I'm trying to write the value first now. If I don't put anything, I close my bracket, it's going to accept it. It's going to show me the default, which is going to be false. So if I drag this down, see, it shows me false. Because like I mentioned, the formula was with like a boolean. Is that true or false? But if I want to specify my own, what should be the value if it's false? I put a comma and I give it a year and I give it value false should be maybe not allowed. Okay, I wrote can't enter. And I press enter. So if I apply the formula down, here becomes can't enter. So that's the, yeah. So let's go back to the VLOOKUP. Okay, so for the VLOOKUP, let's look at this. So we looked at this when we mentioned that. So we looked at this. Thank you. So we looked at this when we talked about that. The minute you put D6 here to D11, it aligns the entire cell because this dot dot means you are saying from D6. The column means from D6 to D11. So everything that started that line to the end of that line, you should collect everything. And this, what you keep here, you just wrap it up with a formula, either a sum, a average formula, or anything, and it works because you have wrapped it up in that formula, in that function. So let's look at the case of a table. In the case of a table, for example, we have names here. We have ages. So we come here and we put this person is A, this B, this C. The age here is 40, here is 30, and the other person is 20. So here, this very first cell is called D14. So here we're at D14. Go to write it here. So this is D14. And this very last one is E17. So this is E17. Okay. So if I want to call this entire table, to call the entire table, what I'm going to do is, let me call it down here. If I do equals to D14, I put this dot dot. But instead of me putting here, which is D17, if I put D17, it's only going to show me this entire line, which is the age. But I don't call the age, I want to call the entire table. So what you're going to do is E17. So it equals the entire table. So everything from D14 to D17. And you press enter, it calls the entire table for you. So instead of calling another way of, if we don't want to do this, is this what happens when you click on this, when you select a table. So it shows you D14 to D17. That's the exact same thing you are doing. So let's go back to the VLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP asks you for 3 variables. You put equals to VLOOKUP. You press tab. It asks for the lookup value. So lookup value. Then you come here equals to VLOOKUP. It asks you for the table array next. You can see it here, table array. Table array. Okay. So table array. You do it again. Let me do it for the last one, which is your column index number and the range lookup. So column index number, range lookup. So column index number, then you have the range lookup. Okay, so these are the four stuff available and VLOOKUP is asking for. And this one, if you notice, you have this square sign, which means it's optional. That means if you don't give an answer, VLOOKUP is still going to work. So it's optional. Yeah. So we have a table. Let's create a table now. So we're just going to do a quick maybe product. So we have different products. These are the product codes. And these are the prices. So we come here and do this product. A is the code for this one is it's called I don't put column inside, not AA. Product A. It's called B. This product C, product D, product E. That's the name of the code of our products. And then we'll come to the not price, sorry, price, the price. And this is 200. This is 100. This is also 245. Okay. So let me convert it to numbers. Yeah, so now we have different products and the prices, which is all here. Now, what does the VLOOKUP? Now, maybe whenever we put a product here, so you write a product here. So maybe here we'll tell you to enter the product. Whenever you enter a product here, for example, yeah, you should give us the price of the product. We're not going to use any, we're not going to use validation, nothing to make it easy. We're just trying to show how the how formulas works, or the function works. So I come here to the product and I put product C. Okay, so for prices, so I do equals to Vlookup and I press tab. You complete it for me. So we're going to do it now with FX and now do it without FX. So I click on this FX. It asks me for the lookup value. Lookup value, table array, column index number, array lookup. Lookup value here. So the thing about FX is that it actually gives you a description of what it's expecting, unlike your other one, which just gives you a suggestion. So it told me that the lookup value means a value that is found on the first column of a table and can be a value or a string. So it must be found in the first table. So we're trying our product. We're not looking for product C. What is the price for product C? That's what we're trying to find out. The table array here, the table array means we want the entire table. So select the table. And you see, we're selecting the entire table. Here shows us H28 to I33, which is this. Right here, this is H28. This is column H number 28. And this very last one is I but row 33. And then we'll do the column index number. So once the stuff, our prices in the second column of this table. It's not the first. The first column only has our price code, our product code. The second column has our price. So here it asks us from column index number. So not the index of the column, but what number is it? It's column 2. So give it 2. This very last one, you see, is short logical. Whenever it's logical, it just means it's a boring. So it's true or false, true or false, true or false. So if I press OK, formula will work because, like I mentioned, it was in a bracket, in this square bracket. That means optional, and that means the default. If you look here, the default is say false. Default is false. So true means that it should give us, if you can't find it, it should give us an estimate, or it does estimate what it feels it is. But the false means it should be exactly product C. If you can't find product C, don't tell me anything. So I press OK. And see, if you found product C here, and it gave me this price. Let's example would have product C, we have product F. See, because we kept the default. Default gave us, default here is true of this formula. So because we didn't give it the red lookup, you use the default, and the default for the red lookup is true. So that's the thing about the default. So you should be very sure that the default is working in your favor. In this case, default is not working in our favor because we have column C has given us an estimate for column C, which is not what we want. So what we should have done instead is I click back here and I go back to my FX. So instead of allowing to give me a default, I actually specify what I want. I want the exact item. So I put a false and I press OK. So you see, it does not find column C. Product C is not here. So it gives me not available, in a not available error because column C is not in this product. If, for example, I kept here as C, see, it found column C, which is 400. Product C is 400. If here was, for example, 900, you see, it changes to 900. Because product C here is 900. So this optional, any formula that has that in the bracket, you should be sure that the optional or what is going to give you optionally is working in your favor, or it will give you the wrong answer. Okay. So now let's try this VLOOKUP without us using the FX. Let's just write it ourselves. So I'm deleting this. So I'll come here equals to VLOOKUP. I'm looking for the product, the lookup value. I'm looking for product C. In what table? I want this table. So I can start this table. And you see, it shows me this exactly what that means. It means I picked the entire table. So I put comma and then I look at column index number, which is I want something in column 2. The value you see it shows me true or false. True means it's approximate, and the false means exact means. And that thing about true or false is that in Excel, false also means 0. And true means any number that is not 0. So even 2 also means true, 7 means 6, and 1 means 6. And this was something that Dr. Victor Mohammed actually talked about. So we're doing false. So we can either come here and put false, or we put 0. And when you're done, you're identifying the formula. You see, You don't have anything, so you just close the bracket and you press enter. So these are the formula works, our formula works. So far, are there any questions? Right. So we have looked at the basic way basic functions work. Then we looked at how basic functions work. We looked at using functions with cell referencing. We looked at the idea of our functions, the most simplest of functions is the sum function, and then we took a look at your Vlookup and if formulas. Now let's look at a different new era of formulas. So if you notice, every formula that we have using, whenever you click on it, it gives you the answer directly there. So for example, I kept Vlookup, I wrote the formula and I wrote the function, and it gave me a single value. So it was always giving me a single value. It's a single value. Everything was like a single value. The only formula that was not giving me a single value was when I was trying to do, like, for example, this range. So if I call everything here and I close the bracket, it gives me like this stuff. So if you notice, whenever you're at the very last one here, you see this very blue line all around it. You wrote the formula on this particular cell. This one doesn't have any formula on it actually. So, but it kind of spills over. So there are new formulas now that they cause this spill error. Not spill error, so this spill effect. You write a formula on one particular cell and it's kind of like it spills over to the cell after it and the cell after and the cell after, depending on how long that formula is. So a fair example of those formulas are even your sort formulas, your filter formulas, even your unique formula. And these formulas, we call them your dynamic array. So your dynamic array formulas. So this like a new formulas that are out there that have these spill errors. They're not like your sum, your VLOOKUP and the rest that when you put a formula, it only gives you a value in a particular cell. Just one cell. Like yeah, you wrote the formula, it didn't spill over. So these formulas they have like a spill effect. Like I mentioned, your sort formula has it, even your sort by your unique formula has it, and even the filter formula as well also has it. So we're going to take a look at this. But before we move to this, let's take a look at some formulas. So it also have formulas that you don't give it anything, but it gives you an answer. There are true formulas that I can think of out of my head that gives you that effect. So you don't provide anything. You don't provide anything in these formulas. You do not provide anything. So you don't ask for any variable, no parameter. You just write the formula and it gives you an answer. And the formulas that do this are like your now formula, your today formula, and your rand formula. So now formula gives you the date and time. The today formula only gives you what's today's date. And the rand formula gives you a random number. But number is always going to be between 1, 0, and 1. Okay, so let's look at them in this place. So increase. Okay, so I think everybody can see this now. Okay. Okay, so this one is referencing. So I come here equals to now, and I press tab. If you notice, it doesn't show you anything. You see, the bracket is just open a bracket and close a bracket. Does not put anything inside. Just open a bracket, close a bracket. If I click on the FX, that's what happens. See, it shows you here. The formula does not require any argument, nothing. It does you just for it to give you the formula and gives you an answer. And you also notice again, you shows the formula is volatile. When a formula is volatile or a function is volatile, it means that it changes by itself. It's always changing. The variable is what's going to give you the results or what's going to return is not always going to be the same thing. You're going to give it today, to give you tomorrow, or to give you next week. And volatile formulas are, let me tell you this, I'll come back to it. So volatile. So it means that the formula is always changing. And you have formulas like your round formula. These formulas are all volatile. Now today, these formulas are all volatile. But you also have other volatile formulas. Even your another formula is your round between, which allows you to random values between any, like between, you just specify what the highest and what should be lowest number that you want. So if I come here equals to now and I open the brackets and I close my brackets, I press enter, it gives me an answer. This doesn't mean an error. Does this means that your space or the column is too tight for it to display everything? So all I have to do is increase my formula bar. Okay, so it shows me the time. The time at the moment now is 9. Today is the 9th of September, and this is the time 4:59, which is here 4:59. Correct. So I come here now to equals to today. I press tab and I close the bracket. I press enter. It gives me today's date. So you see the formula was already changed. It was showing us here. Just right now, it was showing us 4:59. At the moment, it's showing me 5 o'clock. If I press enter, okay, that means it's still 5 o'clock. Yeah. But so that's what the my life it's always changing. The minute you do something, it changes to display what's the current value at the moment. So it's same thing with the round formula. It goes to round. I press tab. I close the brackets. So you see, it does not ask me for anything as well. So and again, numbers will be random numbers between 0 and 1. I press enter. This number, no matter how you drag it, it's still going to be between 0 and 1. 0 and 1. No number, it will never be more than 1, and it's never be below 1, except you want it to be below 1 by maybe multiplied by negative number. Okay, so you see this number has also changed again from 5 o'clock now, it's showing us 5:01. Okay, that means we're rounding up very soon. Okay, so let's go back to this is the last formula we're dealing with today, which is our dynamic array formulas. Okay, so I come here and I put this now. So our dynamic array formulas, like I mentioned, dynamic array formulas are formulas that they have this spill effect. You put a formula in one place, like here, you wrote this formula, you kept it here, you only gave you a single value, it didn't spill over. Dynamic array formula, I come here, this will be my spill over, I click here, and I close it, and I press enter. You see, it spills over. I only kept a formula here, but I spilled over to this other side. This is the idea of a dynamic array formula. So let's look at the unique formula, which is one of my favorite formulas. So unique formula allows you to, it picks out the unique values in a list of arrays or a list of numbers. Okay, so I don't want to create something. Let me just go and pick up something. So this. Okay, so we have different ship modes. I think here we have different ship modes here. Or if you have different customer IDs. So let's try this too. So I'm copying this. Going here, opening a new sheet, and I paste it here. Okay. Right. So this is the ship mode, this is the customer ID. But I want to find out is, for example, is any of the ID number here repeating itself? So you said, okay, that's a question. You can unmute. Okay, control dot also shows me today. So equals to the control this. Yeah. So that is just a it shows me general. Let me change to date, short date. Yeah, so show me this. What's here? So this is right. The what I call it now. So the same way you have shortcuts. So that's just a shortcut. The same way that you can same way I also copied there. I came here and I selected this two. I did Control C to copy, and I came here to do a Control V, and I pasted it. I could have also come here and use the inbuilt formula, which is like copy here and come here and paste it. It's the same way that, for example, you have this table here, automatically an Excel table. I can come here and come and click here and make it an Excel table, and I press OK. Somebody else could also go to a different rack and do a Control A. And Control will select everything. So Control is to select your table, but because there's something here, you selected everything. Let me go here and put it. So I come here now. I come here and I do Control A. So you select the entire table, and I do a Control T, and you select everything. So those are like shortcuts to. So there's some shortcuts that help you to simply you could do a Control F in the binary place. So that does. That's a question. Oh, Mr. You can unmute yourself and speak.
I just
Hello.
want to, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I just want to know if you're going to share the video because um, I'm just listening and following you, but I would have loved to also practice as some of these things. It might not be very
Oh
easy
yeah.
to go back and practice if we don't share the video after the class.
Oh, so there'll be a video, but the video will not be immediately after the class. It will be available by Tuesday latest, or even tomorrow.
So
But
which
it's
media will you use to share it?
oh, so it's going to be available on the YouTube. This is the link to the YouTube on the YouTube channel. So if I click on it,
Can you give us the link?
yeah, I just pasted it right now in the chat.
Okay,
Yeah, so
thank
like I
you.
said, this is a shortcut. I don't know, internet is slow. It's Edge. Yeah, so this is the YouTube. So the YouTube has every session that is done every Sunday. So last week we did data analysis and transportation industry. So the video is already here. We also have for the Power BI, this is Excel, this is a Power BI. So by tomorrow or by Tuesday latest, you'll see the video here. It's also available here. So literally every session is available on the YouTube. Duplicate you got query again. So maybe clearing it up. There are lots of ways you can do that. But one formula you can also use again is the unique formula. So we're looking at functions, so we're going to look at the unique formula. So unique formula is a dynamic array formula. And it also has this pure effect. And your values doesn't show as a single value like your sum. Your value doesn't show as a single value. It's not going to show as just a very single value on one particular cell. It's going to spill over to multiple cells. So if I come here and I do the unique value here, so let me say this is my order ID. Let me see if they are even on the orders here are repeating themselves. So I come here equals to unique. I press tab. So it's instead of me spelling this, I just press tab and you autocomplete it. I pick the very first one and I want to go to the very ending. So instead of you, this is another shortcut again. So instead of you dragging all the way down and keep going down, you will notice on my edge here, you see this is a very long list. I'm about to go to a very long list. If I ever go down here, you see it's still counting. So instead of me doing that, I can use a shortcut to go all the way to the ending. So what you usually do is, so you see the unique formulas for the array, which array means list or table. It asks you for the by column and as if exactly once, which you can pick specific what you want. Just move your YouTube channel. Um, I've removed the. Is this what is it? Is it YouTube traditional? Is it? Oh, this is not. It should be. Oh, let me. Okay, let me unshare again. Can you see the Excel sheet now? Is the Excel sheet showing now? It should be showing now. Yes. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. Okay, so like I was saying, let me go back. So I put equals to unique. It asks me for the array. Array just means a list of numbers or the table. So it most likely can be very specific. Table array, lookup array, but array means a list of something. So I pick the very first one. Instead of me going all the way down here because it's a very long list, even if I drag all the way down here, I'll see list is still going on, and this is going to be a very long drag if I decide to do that. See. So what you instead do is a shortcut. You click on the very first one, and you press Control Shift down because I want to go down. If I want to go left, I put Control Shift left. If I want to go down, so Control Shift down. It takes me to the very ending. See everything. And if I want to remove this because it might not show this, I can just go back up by doing a Control up, and then I close my bracket. So you see, even notice I didn't provide this other two. I didn't provide this the by column and the by rows. If I click comma, see, so it should return unique, or should return only the unique rows or the unique columns. It depends on what you want, but I don't want that. If I want to jump to the very next one, which is the exactly ones, I just put a comma. So that means I'm not telling it this one. And only items that appeared only once, or usually return every distinct item. But I don't want to use any of this. I just want to put in regular unique. So I just close the bracket. So it gives me the default, and I press enter. So if you see, you can already see it already. It's not some of the numbers here are actually repeating themselves. It's not every item that is here that they repeat themselves here based on the default which you picked. Right now, if I come here, you can see we have more than, well, here it only shows me this. Okay, this is not for everything. Let's say, oh, I thought okay, bring the very first one, Control Shift down, close the bracket, enter. Okay, yeah, it's better. So you see, if I do a count, let me do a quick count to see if this worked. So I do equals to count, but I'm going to say count A because a count formula only shows, I'm going to say count because of this one, I'm going to say count. So I have here 1, 2, 3, and here I have A, B, C. This is the difference between a count and count A one. When I'm using a count A, another count. So a count A. Everybody can see three numbers, but a count will be equals to. So let me break this down so you see what happens. Okay, so a count is equals to count, right? And I pick this 3. So I'm expected to see 3. I close the bracket, I press enter. It shows me just 3, correct? I come here and do a count again. And I pick once. You see 2 is 0. It's not able to count numbers, so count cannot count. You can't count the text data type. If I come here and do a count A, however, and I pick everything here, this once, I close the bracket, gives me 3. And if I do a equal count A, and I pick everything here, it will give me 3 now. So this one is more of like a upgrade of this. It allows you to count both text and numbers. So if whenever you are not sure, I'll tell you to go for a count A and just ignore the count. So let's go back to this. So let's check if this formula actually worked. So you see this is what I was talking about, this spill effect. I wrote a formula here. This only place I get the formula, but it has spilled over to every other cell down here. Every other cell down here. So I come here equals to count A, and I pick this. Close my brackets, enter. Okay. Here should be 4 because I didn't exclude the last one. So I come here again equals to count A, and I pick this. The brackets, enter. So you see. So between these two numbers, a few of them were actually repeating themselves. So 10 of the numbers here, or 10 of the ID or the other IDs here are repeating themselves. So this what the spill effect does. Another thing about you should know about this spill formula is sometimes you can also sometimes you might get a spill error. The spill formula comes with a spill error. So let's look at the spill error, then we'll end the class for today. Let's go back to this our store. Okay, so we came here, we had this. Now let's say we have product A again. We have product B, we have product C. And there was 700, here is 900, and here is this. Okay. So I'm going to the different one, like the filter formula. So it asks me the array, what you should include and what it should exclude. So I'm telling to pick everything here, comma, you should include this line when this equals to product A, or let me put any product I keep here. If it's not, if it's empty, what should it tell me? I do not want to specify that, so I'll close the bracket instead. So you should make calc error. Is comma, what's happening? Okay, does this okay, so that's why there's nothing there. So the array should be this when this line is equals to whatever is here. Yeah, so you see now it shows me this is the number. So everything that's in A should give me the answer. So why it was not working was here was empty. I come here and I give A, so it shows me more A. But if maybe for example there you had something written here, you get a spill error. So for example, let's say I had before I wrote the formula, I had maybe here. So I had yeah. So I come here and I put say the filter again formula, you see I'll get an error. So the entire array when this line is equals to this, and you close the bracket and so see it shows me spill. It can't spill. It's supposed to spill to these three buses, but there's something blocking it, so you can't spill properly. So the formula doesn't work till I delete whatever is showing here when it works. So if you're going to use a spilled formula, you should know that you should be careful that it doesn't. If you use a spill error, know that because there's something underneath or something that's blocking where they can spill over to. So those are like the idea of formulas and how they work in Excel. All right. So I've come to the end of this session. Are there any questions at the moment? If there are no questions, we'll be rounding up. We have another session again in like 40 minutes time. The session is going to be about dashboards. So if you're familiar with Power BI, how you can build your dashboard, what you should take note of. It's going to be rounded by Benny's. So the key to building effective dashboards. You can sign up for the session using this link. The recording is going to be, thank you. The recording is going to be available on YouTube. It's going to be available by Tuesday or by tomorrow. So if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you should get a notification once it drop. I also drop the link on the Slack and not Slack, sorry, on the Telegram, on the WhatsApp as well, and even on LinkedIn as well. So if maybe I don't know if you are connected with me on LinkedIn, I'll also drop the link there as well. But I'll also drop it at the Telegram channel as well as the WhatsApp channel. All right. So thank you everyone for attending the session. Bye. So stop sharing, stop recording.